Hey YouTube, I thought I'd start doing a video series on my conversion of a Chester E25 milling machine. It's a very big machine, cost about 800 quid, converting it to CNC. Excuse me the mess, I've not been sleeping very well the last few nights with the problems with the computer, and I've got something running now, but what I really wanted to do was make this, what I originally wanted to do was make this a very organised, very precise, very well planned out video series to sort of walk through every step as I went, but time's ticking on, so I'm not likely to get the chance to really do that. So what we're doing is doing it ad hoc as I do little different stages. I'll give a video record and I'll keep a rough video log, and when it's done, hopefully I'll go back and do a nice recap video, which will be a lot longer. And since I don't have any video limits on the channel now, that should be fine. So I'll just show you what I'm going to be doing tonight now, because I'm in the middle of getting new moulds done. I need some space, so I've got to clear the table of at least some of the parts to clear some space. The best way to do that would be to reassemble the base of the machine and move it to where it's going to be sat, so I can start planning out and working around it and so on. Here's the base of the machine. I've already taken the table and cross slide off because it needs to be cleaned up. I've taken some paraffin, also known as aviation fuel, that really thin petroleum spirit, because it cleans off packing grease quite nicely, and this thing's really caked in packing grease. I mean, it really was hideously covered in it. But I've cleaned it off now, so it's nice and clean. This should give you an idea of the quality of the build. It's quite large, but the actual build quality isn't fantastic. I mean, it's better than I could do myself, but there are noticeable issues with it. I don't know if you can tell. Side on. Where are we? You can just about see there's a marking line across there. Some little digs. They're not really noticeable, but it's such as a discoloration, so I don't know if that means something about the casting itself. The paint job is probably the worst bit of it. I mean, you can see along here, it looks like someone's painted over chewing gum. And I've been along the edges here and already taken off the paint that overlaps with the razor blade here, but you see that's just like car body filler. Just scrapes off. I don't even know why it's on there. I mean, the surface underneath is flat. It actually makes the surface proud of the surface. It actually brings it out. I don't know. Why would it be there? I do not know. And they had it round the front here as well. They always put it down there, presumably to just bevel the edges a bit. But this should show you the quality here. Can you see that score line? You can see how it's nicely centered on one of these, and how it's not on this one. In fact, the whole thing has been rotated. There's obviously have some sort of jig for machining these, and the jig's not been aligned correctly. Plain and simple. But as you say, you get what you pay for. I just scrape off a little bit of this filler when I put this plate back on. Anyway, over here next to the large fake head, that's the lead screw out the front there. You actually see it looks like it's actually maybe it's supposed to be like that, because you see there is a difference to where the pegs are located, so maybe it's just matched up. I don't know. In any case, that thread goes the full length of the base here. So the lead screw nut goes in there, moves up and down. So there's a good few inches there that aren't being used. That limits the range of the table. There's no reason. Well, there is a reason there. I mean, while the table is there, the lead nut's at the back of the table, and because of that, it means this bit doesn't get exposed. The lead screw doesn't get exposed to any swarf that might fall off the mill. But what I'm going to do is chop out this V, extend it so it increases the machining range of the table. It will mean the table will overhang slightly more, so it might lose some precision at the end, but it should increase that machining dimension up to about 200 mil from about 14 mil, 1400 140mm to approximately 200mm. So we're going to be gaining about 6 centimeters of machining capacity, which is quite a lot, and that will be the most extreme of the modifications doing to it. The slide for the top table, which is underneath those horns, only likely to gain about 15mm, but that will be enough to bring that table's motion up to about 400 even. Now, this is not a precision recess. In fact, it's likely been cast in. You can tell they've been around with a manual grinder around the edges to take the burrs off. The slits, at least I've gone with a T-square. The slit is no, it's not square. It's close, but you see, there's no gap at one end there, and there's about a 1.5 mm gap at that end. It gives you an idea. It's so rough. Now, a guy called AbbeyCat, his website no longer operates, had done a similar conversion of the same model of mill. And what he did was take this base as a whole, put it on a Bridgeport machine, and just cut that slot out nice, neat and square. I've got more grease on there. There must be some stuck on the T-square. Yeah, I don't have a Bridgeport machine or access to a Bridgeport machine, and even if I did, moving this thing around is not going to be particularly convenient for me. So what I'll be doing is marking this up, and drill a couple of holes, 1, 2 for the corners, and then I'm going to take an angle grinder to it to chop those bits out. I'll probably need to finish the end there with a jeweler's file or a scroll saw, but that's probably the easiest way for it to go about it and the quickest way to go about it. Stop it going wildly out of control, I'll clamp a bit of wood down to the table to act as a fence so I can rest the grinder against, but aside from that, it doesn't need to be a precise cut, and it's not going to be a precise cut, but it'll get the job done. First off, I accept these are not ideal conditions. This is a bit of a mess, but I've done stuff before. I put some board down to prevent sparks getting on the carpet or into anything. Got my earplugs, got my safety goggles. I was going to put a fence on this just to stop going too far out, but yeah, there's nowhere actually to clamp it onto without putting the whole thing up on bricks. You might do this outside if you wanted to, but it's a bit cold out. Bad circulation, So I'm just going to eyeball this, and it should go alright. I've not done cuts too badly before. Just need to take time with it. Also notice I'm not wearing my fleece jacket anymore, because setting one of those on fire is what once isn't enough. The 800 quid machine tool and an angle grinder. Be bloody careful here. A little more light. This because of the way the light's coming down. It's not really very helpful. Just use the torch. You just want to get that little bit of extra light on this side of the blade. Should do. Just so I'll make sure I stay bang on line. Yeah, that's fine. bang on. Bang on. Perfectly in line there. Just need to level that edge. I'll do this side. Okay. Distributing heat one. And this side's a bit trickier. So unfortunately, if I want to cut with the grinder going down, I'll do it this side. It's a bit trickier to keep on the line. Let's move the torch there, turn it off and on again so it doesn't go to power save. I'll review this torch at some point soon. It's one of these interesting little features, this thing turns stuff off after 15 minutes. Stop the battery running down. Okay, that should do. That cut's gone a little proud, so it means I can just skim that off. It's barely a millimetre tipped in, which is frankly still more precise than the cuts up this end. Right. That's good and rigid still. Now, what I'm going to do next is make a little, not all the way through because I couldn't with this disc anyway, cut along the front just to get part way through to make the manual cutting a bit easier. This is very stiff, so there's also a possibility I could try and crack through, but yeah, don't necessarily want to give that a go. Let's see, back there. And nothing particularly flammable there, should be alright. Torch just there. Going there. Okay. Probably can't see. That's gone through nicely. It's a bit of a gamble, but I could knock that, I think. But what I'll do is drill through the front, a couple more places. Drill through. That should do the trick. Yeah, that's got nice and square. Nice and square. Or at least as square as within spec. Obviously this doesn't actually really need to be this square, when it gets down to the drilling, but a little extra caution's no harm. Should that to a smaller. Yep, all five total really. Look at that, just straight through the weakest point. Whew. Just got to bevel that edge. Clean up the inside of that. Let me change it to a proper grinding disc for those bits, but aside from that, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Okay, I've cleaned it up. I've placed the lead screw back in. I haven't bolted it in just yet. I want to clean these mounting holes up a bit. But then again, they go into studs, so I've only got any blind taps, or they call them end taps. But yeah, that's back in, and you see the thread goes the full length. So I've gained a couple of inches, good 3 inches or so of travel there. I might need to put a stop on it if it looks like it's going to go too far. All I really need is the 200mm total range, so I've probably gone a bit beyond that. So I'll probably make up some sort of stop on the CNC mount that'll go here. So I've cleaned the screw, I've put some white lithium grease with PTFE on it. That should give a nice motion. It already feels a lot looser. Mind you, I haven't got the table on yet, it's down there. I just need to clean off the packing grease. Yeah. And what I'll do today is just get that cleaned up, get that reassembled. I might be taking the grinder to the table as well. I mean, that there's fine, but this side has got some overhangs from the casting process I just want to maybe just grind off. I don't want to take it off too far because those are that's reinforcing webbing there. But just to take that off would be quite nice, just to tidy it up. So I only need to try and squeeze 15mm extra out of this table. But the way I'm looking at it is, if I'm going to upgrade to ball screws at some point, this will be coming off. So I could reposition the... well, I'll probably have to rebuild the bearing blocks at the end of the cross slide, do that anyway. So it's probably not really... actually, yeah, I'll leave this as is. I mean, I'm only going to get 15mm. I'm not going to be using all of that straight away. That 15mm I can gather back when I change the cross screw. There's a cross slide, the cross slide lead screw up. I can change that later. Change the mounts and just avoid the overhang. Okay, I'll just grind those little bits off and call that a day on that. I'm not actually going to do any major modifications to it. It'll just clean it up enough to I won't have to do it again later. Okay, I've reassembled the saddle here. It's all bolted back together. There's a note on the unusual arrangement of jib strips here. I mean, maybe they're usual on other types of machine, but you've got a screw on this end and one on the other end, and the jib strip's held in place with a groove, which this screw only goes into. And the jib shooter is slightly wedge shaped. I don't know if the groove for it's wedge shaped as well, but yeah, you position this one mostly by just getting inside, get both ends in, and you try and just get it into the right position, so you've got no motion back and forth. Before this, we're just rotating very slightly, rocking a bit, and so you get that in place. Then screw that one up a little bit more, then tighten that one. So you get a bit of slack there, and you've got the two locking handles there. They've both got a little ball bearing in the end of them. You don't really need them unless I'm not going to use them. Got some nice motion there, it's alright. I can add a little bit more oil to the guides. You can see on the top here, yeah, I can't polish that out, that's just permanently stained. You can see some, get the light on it, you can see the finish there is not exactly fantastic. It looks like it's also been ground off by hand, and I can feel there's grooves in the surface there, just very slight, not sharp, but this side's a lot worse. I mean, look at that. But again, this isn't the load bearing side, I suppose. Well, at least it shouldn't be. But yeah, that's very rough indeed. Ugh. But yeah, the table itself be going in here. Yeah, but it would actually be resting on that surface. It's not a nice surface to be resting on. But that has been cleaned up as best I can. There's nothing more coming off that. I guess I've just manually removed any peaks. I can only guess this is just not a very good casting, this particular one. But we'll see what sort of performance we get out of that. It's not bad now. I've taken all the little paint chips off. But yeah, that's not a nice. Yeah, I'm not happy with that very much. But if it does the job, it does the job. Yeah. Actually, yeah, it looks like there's a very slight taper here, and this is the side that's got the jib strip to go in. Right. I got holes there which you might consider being locked, but they're actually for the rubberized sheet that goes to the back to stop stuff getting down the back. I'll have to make something similar up for the front. That's usually where the locking screws go. Yeah, saddle lock screws. So I'll probably put them in here, which is where the stop goes. So I can probably just rig something just over there, down to there. That's what it really needs. It just needs to have enough slack in it, because now this has got all the extra range on it. It's going to come over quite a bit. I mean, usually. Just speed this up in playback footage. I can't turn that any further. How far are we from stop? Not far, not far. But that looks like I've got easily enough on there. And it's not twisting. It's not twisting. It's probably lost some vertical stability, but I've just got to wind this all the way back in. I'll put some oil on it while I'm here. Here we are, all assembled again, all cleaned, no packing grease left on it, not a trace of it. My muscles really hurt now. Yeah, some of this looks like I rubbed the paint off. That was like that when it arrived. What I thought might have been streaks in the packing grease, unfortunately down the channels here, down the T-slots, is just really badly painted on paint. So I've found bad bits of casting, rough edges, bits of filler, all stuck all over it now. Yeah, I stuck the column on it. or the column lid as it's called in the instructions. I stuck the column lid on it because I needed to get that cleaned up out of the way as well, so that's on again. I've got that fixed up. But yeah, it's you would not accept quality like this on a machine you pay thousands for. However, in this case, it's a machine you pay hundreds for, which makes it okay. That's what you expect. But yeah, everything moves nicely. I'm not looking forward to getting the head back on it, but at least it won't have the motor on. You see, this is why I've remounting it with a treadmill motor in a vertical position, is because there's not going to be enough space on this bench to have the motor on the back, so I'm improving its functionality at the same time as making it more functional from the workshop here. But it's done! Well, that's done out the way, and I'm going to shift it on down the bench there and have some Chinese food. But for the moment, now is the time we dance.